Okay, I know we did this in class, but we may need to do it again here at your home. So let's see if we can step our way through PyCharm. PyCharm is just an IDE, which basically means that it's a development environment. It really helps to do things like checking your syntax and prompting you for some autofills and things like that. But it's absolutely not necessary to run Python. I'll show you a couple of other ways in which you can run Python, and we'll do tests with those as well. But this is actually a much more feature-rich environment, and it's also the one that ESRI uses when they teach in their classes. So for what that's worth, let's see here. What am I going to do? I'm just going to type yes to install this. So I've come here to the PyCharm, and I'm just going to download the community edition. You know, when you become professionals, you can download the pro version. Let me just put this here. Okay, so we've downloaded the executable for PyCharm. Let's go ahead and open it. Okay, this is where you can put it in a different place if you like. By default, it puts it basically in your user's owner. Your user's directory for whoever you're logged in as. Guess it doesn't really make much difference. 64-bit launcher. It does depend on hopefully you're all working on Windows 10. If you're working on something earlier, you may not want the 64-bit launcher. And go ahead and create associations with .py, which basically means if you double click on a .py file, it'll open ArcPy or PyCharm. You don't have to do that. And if you find things that you prefer to happen with ArcPy, you can undo that later. So we'll go ahead and install this. And it says it has finished. I'm going to go ahead and click Finish, and that will allow me to, it'll automatically run a version of it. I also like to do a thing where I come out here and pin this to the Start button so that I can, it'll be available to me whenever I click on Start. There it is right there. So let's not import any settings. Confirm the agreement. I don't like to send statistics to anybody. You could set your UI theme. By default, it comes in as black or dark. You could set it to lighter. Yeah, we don't need any of these things right now. Certainly, PyCharm can be used for other things. Okay, let's go down here to configure, and this is what we did in class. So we're going to configure and settings, and then up here we want to make sure that we have the right project interpreter, which basically is the executable that runs when you do this. Now if you have ArcPy installed, ArcGIS Pro installed, I'm sorry. Then you can come here to ArcGIS Pro, bin, Python, ENVS, and ArcGIS Pro 3. This is the default ArcGIS Pro. And here's python3.exe. Okay, so And it should load the packages, which basically means these are all the different libraries that are available by default. So you can see that ArcGIS is one of them, and inside ArcGIS is the ArcPy module. So we'll click OK. Hopefully you only have to do that once, but you can also do that per project, so you don't have to run the same version of Python every time you create a new project. So we'll create one, test py, make sure that we have the correct one. We'll do existing interpreter, where we're basically telling it use this version of Python to run it, as opposed to this other version, which is, like I say, the 2.7 version. And again, you only have this problem if you have both Pro and Desktop loaded on the same machine. So it's certainly possible to do that, but you don't have to. And this may never be a problem for you. We'll go ahead and close tips and stuff. And PyCharm works with this notion of projects. And it's doing some indices, updating. This is basically where it's gathering information for all of the autofill stuff, etc. I'm going to click on background and let it do that in the background while I'm doing my other work. I'm going to expand test.py and right click and click new and click Python file. So we're going to create a brand new Python file, and let's call this test1. Okay, and here we go. We'll import sys, and we'll import ArcPy, and then we will print sys.version. Okay, and then let's see if we can run this thing. You notice you have a Python console down here. And it takes a second or two to import the modules. Oops, module not found, ArcPy. Looks like maybe I spelled something incorrectly. Oh, yeah, ArcPy. All right, let's try running that again. You don't have to make that mistake on yours. Okay, so what it has done is it has imported the sys module, and it's telling me this is the output from the ArcPy print, the print sys version. Okay. All right, so at least we know that we're running the right version, and it loaded ArcPy. Fascinating. Doesn't really show us much of anything, does it? But let's do this ArcPy dot ArcPy.exists, and we will do our thing, which is basically the same command we just ran. We ran in exists. That we ran in our Pro tutorial. You'll notice it actually has this /t. It's actually in this IDE. It's actually telling you that this is considered an escape character, and you might want to look those up. So if we put the R in front of it, then now it just becomes a string. All right, and so that's it's going to perform that function. But in order to get us to have it actually give a message to us, we're going to enclose the entire thing in a print statement. So you'll notice you've got matching parens here and matching parens here. So one of the things you should always be on the lookout for is, a mismatched set of parens, parentheses. So click on that one, and then you'll notice that this one doesn't have a match. So anyway, we'll do more of that, but let's run it again by clicking this little execute button up here. So this is the output from the print statement right here, print sys.version, and this is the output from the ArcPy exists statement, true. So it has done it. So what we've proven here is that you've essentially done the same thing within the PyCharm module, except we now have a file here called test.py, and we can run it, and we can actually run this from the command line as well. And we've also used the ArcPy exist thing. So we're going to be working in this environment quite a bit. So it's good to know that you can get this to work.